You are listening to Single Smart Female. This is Jen, explaining the possibilities in your love life and examining your mantourage dating experiences. I am here to help you do life and love on your terms by tipping the scales of love permanently in your favor. So don't forget to text this episode to all of your single smart girlfriends, and let's get started. Hello, my single smart female. It is Jen, your romantic fairy godmama, coming to you with a romantic fairy godmama. Very hot topic today. Today we are talking adored woman habits. Now, habits are a passion of mine. I'm one of those people that likes to tweak my habits to see what the maximum results that I can get in my life and the simplicity and how I can make my life super simple as well. So let's talk about that for just a second. You know, sometimes I get asked if I am a proponent of the ideas of The Secret. And the truth is, yes, I do believe that our mindset and how we perceive and feel the world has a lot to do with our reality. But in the original Secret, there was something that they truly missed, which was that you can't just sit there and think as hard as you can for days on end and everything that you want is just going to magically come true. Because really, it's the combination of your mindset with your actions is what generates all the possibilities and all the wonderful things that can happen to you in life. And also, it didn't really acknowledge that there are a lot of things that look bad that are actually setups for the good things that you want. So there are a lot of different components to that weren't acknowledged. I wouldn't say I am a complete subscriber to The Secret, but yes, I definitely believe that how you look at the world, how you perceive the world, how your mind interacts with the world, and your actions that follow dictate a lot of possibility and outcome. So with that said, I want to talk about what are adored woman habits and what I have seen help women yield the best results in their love life and in their life in general. Because when I am working with a woman, I'm asking her constantly about everything that's going on in her life, not just the men that she's talking to or dating or what's going on with them, but I want to know what's happening at work. I want to know how she interacted with her uncle who said kind of a snide comment to her. I want to know all of it because it all actually impacts your love life. And we're going to talk about these different habits. Mindset is one thing, but the actions that you take on a repeated basis, which are your habits, dictate so much of what's going on in your world and so much of the potential in your world that it's really important. If you want an incredible love life, we need to have some discussions about what some of these habits might look like or might not look like. So number one of the biggest ones is how you take care of yourself, how you treat yourself. And adored women take amazing care of themselves. She eats well and she works out on, in a kind of workout that she really loves. And then maybe some stuff that pushes her outside of her comfort zone and really strengthens her. I personally think it's a great thing when women learn how to sensually move, maybe different types of dance classes, things like that, but they also combine it with weight training. There's something very powerful about physical strength as well as movement. But of course, that's completely up to you and what that looks like and what that feels like. I'm also a very big proponent, and this is something I've been very focused on the last several years, is simplifying life. I have a family. So trying to figure out the different hacks that make all of this possible to take amazing care of myself, my family to take amazing care of themselves, for us to have simplicity in life, exquisite simplicity and luxury. That's been a lot of fun. And it's something that I am continuously tweaking. And I love to talk about with my clients and I love to share with people because it's become a passion of mine. I love systems, but I love elegant systems. I love systems that make you feel good and that are really easy to maintain as well. Now, this one might be a trigger point for some women. I'm going to tell you a little bit my story and you do with what you will. I personally think adored women should give up smoking. Why? Well, because honestly, yes, there are women who make it into a very long way in life without having any complications. That does exist. But I really think it's a habit that doesn't contribute anything to you. So it's something that I gave up personally. My now husband, we gave it up too at the same time. And I think it's definitely something that you should consider giving up. And if you need help, I'm going to give you a book that I found to be absolutely magic. It's a $15 investment for you. And I will tell you that it took my husband 2 times to go through the book. And he was probably more of a hardcore smoker than I was. But almost every person I have given this book to directly has quit smoking. And I think nobody needs to tell you what all the benefits are. But again, it's something to definitely consider. And worst case scenario, it's a $15 investment. Okay? Even if you decide not to quit. And even if you're a casual smoker, I would consider giving it up completely too. And the book is called, it's Alan Carr's The Easy Way to Quit Smoking. Okay? Now, this is another one that might be a little bit of a trigger point. We're going to talk about this. I almost, and I mean when I say almost, never drink anymore. I used to drink. I never had a drinking issue, but I used to drink more when I lived in other countries. And as I've gotten older, I've recognized I hate how I fucking feel when I have a drink, even just a small amount. So I just don't anymore. And I have really fallen in love with who I am when I don't drink, meaning I can have just as much fun sober as the moments that I had when I was drinking before. So I'm not telling every woman that she needs to stop drinking. That's not what I'm saying whatsoever. But I do still feel that a high percentage of women are drinking way more than their body really can handle. And it's having an aftermath of effects on their body that they're not necessarily recognizing, like poor sleep and maybe more weight gain than they would like, just feeling kind of lethargic, things like that. There's not enough reward to drinking in order to justify all the just kind of crappy shit afterwards. And then the other piece of it is, I know there are a lot of women out there that are so afraid of their feelings and that feeling of anxiety, and that's one of the things that calms their anxiety, that I want to encourage you, maybe it's time to admit for some women that you are, this isn't all women, but maybe you are excessively using alcohol for this. And maybe it's time to look into something else that, I mean, I know some people have had, and I'm not telling you exactly what you should do, but maybe it's time to either looking into meditation, exercise. I know some people CBD oil is effective, but you have to find what works for you. But I do want you to, if you can't go out on, this is a really good sign too, if you're not able to go out on a date without, keeping drinks down to a minimum, that's something to really consider, because I want you doing most of your dates sober and still have just off the charts amazing time. Okay? So something to think about and to consider. Now, above all though, as an adored woman, one of your habits is that you're going to treat yourself exquisitely. You're going to take care of yourself. You're going to do good things for yourself. And you're going to be a top student of the adored woman world. But you're also going to give yourself permission to be a little naughty. And that brings me to number 2. And as an adored woman, perfection, it's not a fucking option, okay? You as an adored woman, and when you walk in my world, you have to give yourself permission to find yourself absolutely fucking adorable just as you are, and be willing to do better when you need to, okay? So in the self-help world, this also is in the spiritual world, the religious world, all of these worlds, there is a circular notion that sets us up time and time again to just see ourselves as beings that need to be fixed. And what that does, especially in relationship to men, is make us hyper-focused not only on their faults, but our own faults, and which that's a little voice inside your head saying, well, nobody's ever going to really love me if I have all this shit wrong with me, and always focus on the next thing that you have to fix about yourself. But here's the thing. perfection really isn't an option. That shit doesn't really exist. Perfection is also subjective. And so we're getting caught in other people's notions of what is perfection and fucking ourselves over time and time again. So I need you to kind of take some steps back and understand that as you step into this world of being an adored woman, you're pretty fucking amazing as you are. And yes, there are going to be habits and things that you improve on and get better at. And you're going to leave behind some addictions that you have or just some crappy habits. But it's not at the expense of your life being no fun. You have to, and that's what we spend a lot of time, is making these pieces of your life fun as well, making them in a very fun way, ritualistic and exciting, and getting actual pleasure out of going through the movement of these different things that we decide and we choose to keep, habits that we keep in our life. But you're not allowed to keep looking for the next thing that's wrong with you. You have to take a moment and say, damn, I'm pretty fucking awesome as is. This might take me to another level of awesome, but truthfully, I'm a fucking masterpiece right here, right now. You take on that mindset, you're going to have a lot more men, really high quality men, that are going to be attracted to you. Okay, number 3. An adored woman continually educates herself. This is important, ladies. So now that can come in lots of different forms. And does that mean that you have to keep going to get master after PhD, after higher education? No, it doesn't. In fact, I personally think that you should go to a certain place and then work with it, because then I think, honestly, you're just spending a lot of money. After a certain point, you're just spending a lot of money on something that if you were to just market properly, you'd be making just as much money. I think sometimes in the education system, we as women, because we're scared of our own potential and we're scared that other people won't see our potential, we keep, and I'm not saying this is in all cases, okay, but I think a lot of women will get way more education than they actually need, when what they really should be learning is how to negotiate. And what I would do in that is I would hire a damn good executive coach, something along those lines, so that you can learn how to proceed without having to spend the tens of thousands of dollars or more in many cases to keep getting higher education, unless you have a specific plan that only happens with that level of education, okay? Again, very personal choice, but something to consider. Sometimes money is much better spent in learning how to negotiate, because women happen to be some of the shittiest negotiators in the world, and it doesn't have to be that way. Anywho, next thing. Also, if, for instance, and then looking at the pieces in your life where you do want to invest. Now, sometimes the investment will be an audiobook here, an audiobook there. That's one of my favorite things to do, because I am on a computer quite a bit, so I don't want to sit there and read any stuff except for stuff for fun. So anything quote unquote educational. I love Audible. It's one of my favorite resources ever. And I share it with my husband, and we both really, really enjoy Audible. But that's one way to continually educate yourself as well. If you're wanting to learn how, like, the strokes of becoming an adored woman and learning to engage with men very differently and understanding your power in reference to men, like true power in reference to men and the world and your femininity and what actual femininity is versus this fake notion of femininity that we've made women crazy with lately, then I suggest you consider a deeper dive with me in the Secret Society of Adored Women. This is one of the things that I love about that work, is that so many women are truly feel clueless when it comes to men, and men in all walks of their life. And we've set up an incredible amount of stereotypes about men that just aren't true when you understand all of these things. So I want to encourage you to continue and take deeper dives with things that are actually going to be very impactful, because, a big portion of the world that you're working with is men. And it's not just that you're dating them and loving them and getting into relationships with them. You've got all kinds of relationships with men that are going to become very important to you. Now, I want you to understand something. No matter how you decide to keep educating yourself, and by the way, I think there should always be a little break in between. It's always good to want to continue the education, but I also think there's time to sit and to absorb. Understand that any education is pointless and is not potent without some type of action, okay? Information without action doesn't mean anything. You have to be willing to execute on anything that you take in. Now, granted, let me make something clear. If you take the time to learn something and you realize that it's really not for you, I'm not saying take action there. But if you want something, want to get real value out of something, you have to be willing to take the time to take action. Super important, because information without action is pointless. All right, number 4. An adored woman hyper-focuses on her potential, not her limits. Okay. Yes. According to society, we as women have limits. Glass ceilings, all that kind of stuff. I'm going to tell you, and I'm going to tell you time and time again, just because society has told you that exists, it doesn't mean it doesn't exist, but it also doesn't mean that you have to abide by those rules. That's all I'm going to say about that. So again, doesn't mean it doesn't exist, but it also doesn't mean that you have to abide by those rules. Okay? And number 5. An adored woman chooses to see most men as her ally and not her adversary. I can't tell you how important this is. If you want an incredible relationship with your life, you have to check how you view men. Really important. If you see all men in a certain way and it's contrary to what you want, you're going to do your best to keep men at bay without even realizing it. And you're going to step into situation after situation that confirms what you believe to be true about men. One of the biggest shifts I had was deciding to see men as incredible beings that I wanted to be in a loving relationship with, and that they wanted to adore me. And you have to make the choice, if you're not there yet, to start seeing that as well. If you don't want to see that, then this isn't for you. What I'm doing here right now isn't for you, and it isn't a place that you should be spending your time. If, on the other hand, you want something incredible and want something magical, choose to see men as your ally, almost exclusively. Okay, lover girl, it's time for the final thought on today's show. The habits an adored woman keeps can significantly alter the quality of her love life. Hey, lover girl, don't forget to subscribe to the show in your favorite podcast app, as well as share this episode with all of your single smart girlfriends. And if you are ready to walk permanently in the adored woman world and create the love life that you really want instead of the shit that they say that you have to settle for, then listen up. Women who get what they want search out the resources they need in order to make it happen. This is why you found me, and now it's time to make some badass, magical decisions in your dating and love life. No more half-assed decisions based on false information. No more half-assed dating and constant worry about whether or not you'll hear from him again. No more sustaining yourself on scraps of romantic attention or no attention at all. It's time to call BS on all the haters out there that say smart, successful women are destined to be single. It's time to invest in yourself with the only complete dating experience that has direct access to me and is put together exclusively for women like you. Meet me at secretsocietyofAdoredWomen.com for all of the details, including pricing, structure for our time together, and to schedule your application interview. See you there.